It's technically recorded live, but I don't put up the link till it's done. That's just me though. All right, everyone, good day. How's everyone? All right, so today I wanted to start moving into a little bit more of the fire season, of course, and working on the fire element. Now, there's a lot of attributes that go into the fire element that we'll want to study over time, but I wanted to work on one thing with you early in the season because you're probably going to be using this during your training. So I'd like to give it to you ahead of time instead of somewhere along the way. Okay. So what I'd like to go into do today would be a discussion and mapping out of the 8 vessels. Okay, right? Vessels. Okay. Curious, what's a vessel? Let's start there. Okay.
You mean just a vessel or these particular vessels?
No, just in general, maybe in Chinese, you could talk about in general and then in Chinese medicine. But in general, what's a vessel? Yes.
Container.
Yeah,
it's a container.
Something that holds something.
Very good. It's a container. So the idea with the vessels is they are containers. They are reservoirs. They are capture tanks. And what they do is they capture the energy or keep the energy. So the meridians are more like a river, okay? And the vessels are more like a lake or an ocean or a big body of water, a container of water. What happens with the meridians is if there's a surge in the meridian, then the energy gets parked in the vessel. If there's a drought or a loss in the meridian, then the vessel sends some energy to the meridian, okay? Think of it like a surge protector for a power strip for your computer or something of that nature. So the cord itself going from your computer to the power strip would be a meridian. But the power strip would be a vessel in which it protects that cord from a surge, lightning bolt, okay? Or if there's a blackout. Have you ever noticed when you unplug a power strip, sometimes that light stays on just for a moment? Because there's a residual energy, kind of a backup in there. So it kind of holds a container or something of that nature. So a vessel, and especially, so it's a container, and this is going to be a container for energy. Now, it's not that much different. You will hear the 14 extraordinary meridians. We know that's the 12 meridians plus 2 of the vessels. So in traditional Chinese medicine, we talk about the 8 vessels, okay? And these are 8 containers, if you would, in the body that house specific or specifically hold energy, okay? And then each one of them has a specific kind of style, like we'll go into it, but a governing vessel is a yang energy. So what it does is it manages all of the yang meridians in the body. So if you have a yang meridian and it's in surplus or deficient, it's going to be governed or managed by this governing vessel. Contrary to the conception vessel, which deals with all the yin meridians. Okay, so if you have a yin meridian concern, it's going to tap in and connect to the conception vessel. And that vessel is going to manage, it's kind of like a float, right? In the water, it's going to manage that piece or that idea. So they say the 8 vessels are an energetic internal construct that keep our building, our energy building, from collapse. Okay, and this structure, how it's technically built, there's a circle, there's a ridge post in the middle, there's like a belt to kind of keep it contained, there's cross posts, and then there's side posts. Okay, and so what we're going to do is I want to do a couple of things. I want to first just show you what they are, tell you, and then ultimately we're going to stand up for a moment and we're going to look at the fact that in our 200-hour training, the 8 vessel movements, who's heard of 8 vessels, fire element? Yeah. So the 8 vessel movements are done and designed to stretch and open these 8 vessels in the body. So, and there is one key to opening and filling these vessels. Does anybody happen to know what that is? Joint alignment. Proper joint alignment is going to be key for opening and filling these vessels. That's a verbatim question on the exam, just by the way, cheat sheet ahead of time. Okay, so what is the key to opening and filling the 8 vessels? And it's joint alignment. If the body has a joint that's misaligned, it's not going to be able to open that vessel. And we are going to try and first open those vessels. Second, repair those vessels, right? And then third, we have to fill it. Okay, so first we have to get the vessel, open it. But it's an old ship, so we have to repair it. Okay, so we're going to do repair. And then once it's repaired, then we can fill it with whatever we're carrying. Does that make sense? So we have to be able to work on these different things. Usually they say opening and filling the vessels, like when you're holding the stance. At first, if you're holding a stance, so this is one of the stances, if it's fine and it doesn't impact you and you're comfortable in it, you're not really opening or filling. And then all of a sudden, like this starts to shake in, you know, the shaking or the energy, it starts to kind of pick up, the effort kicks in. Now you're starting to kind of do the work. So just know, and then the longer you're able to hold the stance without fatiguing or shaking, shows you the level of energy you have stored in your vessels. So the more you train over time, the longer it will take for that fatigue, that shaking, does that make sense, to set in, because now you have your container, you have a container, it's repaired, and it's filled, okay? And then if you deplete, you'll know, because it comes back in. Okay, so you have to kind of come back through the idea. So these 8 vessels are formed ultimately in utero at the beginning of when the sperm and the ovum meet. So the very first thing that happens when energetic life is started is these two meet and they create something really known as the governing and conception vessel. Okay, so we have this first thing that happens. Let's see if I can. I don't want to mess you up. I know. That was good. Okay, fine. So, all right, I have this governing vessel down the back. Now, I know we usually talk about water rising up the back, so we draw it in blue, but I'm going to draw it in red because the governing vessel is technically yang or yin. Yang. So I'm going to draw in red for yang. So therefore, I'll draw the conception vessel in blue for yin. Even though we bring heat down and water up, that's a whole different game. We won't talk about that just today. Okay? So the first thing that happens, and technically these meet, right? Okay? So the very first thing that happens in the womb is this governing conception vessel kind of start and show up. So I have, just like we talked about the idea, first there is Wuji, there's nothing. And then there's like the one, the Tao. But then the next thing, what happens is polarity. So in order to be in form in this world, so you can have the Tao, the flow of the universe and all of that stuff, but the second you drop in to this atmosphere, Earth, you drop into duality. Okay, and so this is the beginning of duality. This is a yin and a yang. The very first thing that must happen is the opposites must become present. Okay, so that's how this piece begins to fill. So the very first thing is we have this yin and yang, governing and conception vessel, that begin to kind of start up. And I wanted to make sure I followed this precisely. The third, there's another piece that happens, and what is also created is the center line. And this center line is known as the thrusting vessel. So what it is I have this yin and I have this yang. But what begins to give it shape is a third dimension. Do you remember we talked about dimensions in the fall? We'll come back to it this fall if you missed it, okay? But we started out, the first dimension was just a dot. It's a singular location. One. Singular. No. Okay, so there's just a dot, a singular location. I know, I can't help it. And then second dimension. So this tells you where. Second dimension tells you, you know, how long. Second dimension has 2 points, one on each side, if you would. Then what happens is we go to the third dimension and we get depth. So not only do we have right and left, but we have depth. So what happens is this governing conception vessel, the sperm and ovum meet, they come together and then they kind of pop up into 3D with this thrusting vessel. Now I have kind of the beginning of a container, or think of it like a little ball. You know, it has a depth instead of a flat dot on the floor. that would be the two sides, if you would. Now it has depth. Now it went from a dot on the floor, flat, to a ball sitting on the floor. It has dimension. Okay, and then so we have this thrusting vessel that begins to sit. This is like a ridge pole. It kind of holds the center of the tent up, right? You have the front and the back of the tent or whatever, but if you don't have that pole, it's just kind of coming down. So we have this thrusting vessel that kind of comes into place. Then what happens is we start to have these other vessels show up, okay? And these other vessels, you're going to love my little cartoon guy. I know it. I can feel it. You have legs, okay? And technically you have two legs, okay? So what happens now is there's this energetic, I have a structure, a front, back, an energetic structure. I have this center ridge pole. But then what I'm going to have is I'm going to have what's known as a linking vessel that comes from the up, from one side to the other. And then I have a heel vessel that kind of comes up. Now, let me draw it like this. So I have a governing and conception vessel. So I create a not so good circle. Then I have a thrusting vessel. Now, let's just pretend instead of seeing the body as one piece and the feet, let's just look at you as an orb for a minute, because we're really talking about your energetic structure than we are your physical structure, because a vessel in this is about your energy body. Does that make sense? So look at this circle more as here's your thrusting vessel, and your governing and conception is like your Wei Qi field, your energy around you. So it's not so just thinking like on your spine as much as it is kind of coming up behind. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, so we have this governing and conception vessel. Then what I have is I have these linking vessels that link the right and left side, and they create this internal structure of strength. Is that okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Then what I have is something called a heel vessel. I'm going to reinforce the energy here. These are heel vessels. So I have a front and a back. I have a ridge pole in the middle. Okay. I have this crossbar, kind of creating strength. And then I have these side pieces that are kind of hugging in and helping lift up. Okay. If these heel vessels aren't hugging in and lifting up, they kind of go bleh. And my energy kind of comes out. I lose some. Is it this heel or a heel? H-E-A-L. Heel. H-E-E-L. Right. Which heel? There's a lot of heels. Like, so it is going to be a heel vessel, and we're going to stand up for a minute and in a minute, and we're going to try to visually picture these as we do some stances, so that you can get this sensation of what this is. Technically, the heel vessel runs from the temple. It's a lot like the gallbladder coming down to the foot. And that's why it can't be like this. It has to be stretched and open. So this is something that we're going to be doing during our 8-vessel training. So, okay, fine. So I have my governing vessel. We agree?
Yes.
Conception vessel.
Yes.
Thrusting vessel. These are linking vessels on both sides, and heel vessel. Okay, there's one more vessel that's going to be put in here, and this is, this is the belt vessel. I love that the energy of this is so not that far off from the planet Earth, because we're really just a symbolic piece of that. So you have the equator, you have the prime meridian, right? You have, of course, all the meridians. You have these different parallels. So there's this energetic ball or structure that kind of keeps it from kind of collapsing in. Physical, energetic, and conscious structure, right? So there's this belt vessel that actually kind of comes around the center, and it keeps everything, it's like a bundle of sticks tying them in. So that, say the heel vessels, if the heel vessels are on the side from here down to the feet, and they have to kind of pull in and push, like come together, that belt vessel kind of circles and keeps these bundles of sticks pulled in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You will see in there's a couple variations. So in some books, you'll just see the heel vessel, belt vessel going around right here. You will see some books where it's actually more like a set of hula hoops coming up and it's creating circle hugging, circle hugging. So it's not just necessarily one belt, if that makes sense. It's going to be, in some ideas, it's a series of belts, right? That kind of loop and kind of keep that energy going, right? Because you have these cross members, you have this center member, you have these heels, and then you have this belt. So this is an energetic, excuse me, vessel. So if we have a breach in one of these vessels, then energetically we can lose balance. On a physical nature, linking vessel, we start to lose cognitive right and left, being able to move that right and left brain, right brain, left body, left. So like the disconnect begins to unravel. Again, when we're born, ideally, or when we're in good health, these vessels are strong and full of energy. Of course, as we deplete, they begin to come apart. The heel vessels kind of fall, the linking kind of comes away, this gets weak. Does this make sense? This one gets blocked, okay? So what happens here, this yin water conception vessel, can you tell me anybody tell me what meridians touch the front of the body? Do you remember? We just talked about this.
Oh, the yin.
Mm-hmm. Which ones specifically?
The liver, the spleen.
Yeah, the
Stomach.
Liver, spleen, kidney, yep, and then heart, pericardium, lungs. So if you remember, all of those meridians touch right around here. Does that make sense? Here, kidney, lung, pericardium, liver, spleen, I missed something, heart. Okay, so they're all fed and nourished by this front channel. Both vessels, the conception and governing vessel, both start at the perineum, and they come up and meet here at the mouth. Okay, so you're going to naturally see a connection between all of these meridian points touching into the vessel, and then the same on the back body, especially because that yang, that governing vessel, wraps over the face. Okay, so technically it comes down to here. And if you'll notice, all of the yang meridian points are above that point. We don't have any in the jaw, as far as inception. Do you remember we had bladder, we had gallbladder, we had small intestine, triple warmer, we have large intestine, stomach. So they're all within the yang governing region. So that's going to maintain that. So let's try, I'd like to have you stand up, and I want to have you picture, we're going to do a couple of postures, we won't hold them long, but I want to see if you can begin to picture the vessels in your postures, okay, and work on breathing through them. There's an idea you could breathe through them a lot like you do for your meridian breathing, okay, just getting to know them and to kind of trace them. So we're not all that warmed up, so let's not do it too deep, but I want to give you the basic idea. So if we stand with feet shoulder distance apart, okay, bring all your weight to your right leg. Now keep that knee bend. Make sure your weight's back in that right heel so it doesn't push forward into the knee joint. We do want to keep it. Now what we're going to be doing is the first one's going to be for the heel vessel. And so the heel vessel starts here, and it comes down the side into the heel. So I'm going to take that left foot and turn it in. I want to make sure I'm not really collapsing. This is rolling in and pushing back. Push down with the heel. And picture stretching a rubber band from your left heel all the way up. You can even turn. Ultimately, what's the first posture? Does anybody know? Do you know your 8 vessel set? 7 stars push the earth. Okay, so it would be a turning point. And so I'm going to try and drop the chin, lift the ear, stretch down, down, and down. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I know. Good. Here, turn center for a moment. We'll kind of write these. I know I see this. Okay, because you're trying to get the idea or stretch. So here, let's put the One is 7-star, press the earth. What's the next one? 2 is divide heaven earth. Next. Stand in ba to push 2 poles. So I'm going to put ba, push poles. 4th one. Twist like rope. 5. Crescent. I'm going to run out of room. I always do. 6. White crane points to 7-star.
7.
And yeah, white crane, 7-star. You'll find this 7-star quite a bit. It's actually a very important constellation. I'm going to make them. Number 7, you already said it. Ride the tiger. And 8. Natural palm points to heaven. Or points to 7-star. Natural palm points to heaven.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. 7 stars push the earth. I'm going to, this is called a 7-star stance because the feet look like this. Right?
A 7.
Yeah, they look like a 7, but also it's kind of a Big Dipper, the 7 stars. Okay, so the Big Dipper has a lot to do with getting celestial energy or cosmic energy, but this is just a Qigong class, so we won't talk about that. Okay. So, but there is the idea, they'll do a lot of work with the Big Dipper and bringing energy into the byway. So here, I'm turning and I'm stretching the byway point, or the heel vessel. I get stuck with the byway. Don't bow forward. Good. Drop the shoulders. Good. Sit in the pose. Stretch out that left leg. Don't let that right hip pull. That right knee should stay in good alignment. Okay? Good. So if I came to the other side, I'm just going to release that left foot and stand. Remember, what is the key to opening and filling the 8 vessels?
Joint alignment.
Joint alignment. So you probably are going to get very meticulous instruction on the joint alignment, okay? So if I stand here, left foot, watch my left knee, okay? I'm not allowed, just because I turn the pose and try and turn, this knee is pointing that way now, and my toes are pointing this way. Can you see if I had eyeballs on them? No, it has to be that this stays, I can sit it back, but that knee has to point in the same direction as that standing toe or foot, okay? And then I can turn it the waist, stretch the heel vessel, good. Chin drops. So you're stretching from that right here. It's okay, you can hold the pose. You'll like this one. Usually you get immediately warm. It's a fire element. So that right ear down to the right heel. Okay, can you feel it? Kind of see it? All right, stand. So I'm just going to put heel vessel here for you, okay? Heel vessel. Okay? Next one, this one's going to be a divide heaven and earth. So I'll tell you what they are now, but I will quiz you on this at some point. Okay? This one is for the thrusting vessel. Do you remember which one's the thrusting vessel? Can you show me? Right here. Tai Chi pole. Okay? I picture it as I'm a carousel horse, and I have that pole coming down from the heaven, and it comes through the center of my body and out the perineum and into the earth. So it actually runs more than just here. Per se, it's an energetic. Does that make sense? That gives me permission to kind of stretch into it. So here it's this almost the same stance. So feet straight, shift to your right leg, lift that left heel, bend the right knee. Now turn that right or that left leg in. Good. So the difference is I'm closing the quad. This is called the quad. And so I'm trying to close that energy off. Torso is upright, okay? And I'm going to push down with the right hand, like I'm pushing a post into the floor, and push up, beautiful, with the left hand, and I'm going to turn and have a seat. Good, same rule applies to that my left, your right leg with the knee. Good, do you feel it in your right thigh? Oh yeah, okay, we could stay here longer. All right, but I'm thinking thrusting vessel, lifting the byway point, sinking and closing that perineum, tailbone down. And we just come out to switch. So I shift, left foot. And again, start with these easy. Eventually, yes, are they deep? Absolutely. Don't. yet, especially early summer. You have all summer to get there, and then it'll take a few summers. Okay. Like a few. Okay. For everyone, it doesn't matter. So let's. All right. Standing, shift left, lift that right heel, close the quad. So this energetically comes in. Left hand pushes down, right hand pushes up. Drop the chin, thrusting vessel. Good. Don't tighten that right shoulder. There you go. Good. But hold the pressure on the hand. I should be able to push on your right hand and it won't go down. Same left hand. I should be able to kind of push up. Relax the chest and shoulders. Sit in that left heel. Good. And stand as you're ready. So that activates, not thirst. That must be me. I'm thirsty. Activates the thrusting vessel. So this internal structure. So when you're doing your practices, this is something you really want to be able to focus on. Next, this is called standing in ba to push you pulls. So really what's going to be working here is GVCV, governing vessel, conception vessel. Okay, so because when I'm standing in ba, I have the ba, the feet go like this. That's like the number 8. Okay, is how they draw. So I have this ba stance, but watch out for the thighs to push forward because you'll feel it on the outside of the knees. The thigh bones actually kind of roll in and sit back. It's tricky. Tailbones down. I love the faces. Okay. It's like I want everyone to go out today and stand in the grocery line like this. Kind of bounce a little. Yes, so thighs roll in, feet, my heels are kind of pulling out and apart a little bit, toes pushing down. But now I'm going to be working governing and conception vessel. So for simple pictures, round, arch. Round, push 2 pulls. So I inhale round, governing vessel, yes? Exhale, push, conception. Push, hands should be active. In. And out. Good. So picture governing vessel, tailbone over the head to the top of the mouth. And then picture conception vessel, lower lip to perineum. Technically perineum to lower lip, but it's fine. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, good. All right. Okay, twist body like rope. So twisting is always going to be belt vessel. Just know we're going to be wringing that belt vessel kind of both ways. So twist body like rope, we have the belt vessel. And so when you're doing the twist body like rope, I'll show you, there's of course always the first mindset to be twisting here at the belt. Ultimately, okay? But we want to make sure we're not just twisting here. We want to energetically be twisting all the way through those hula hoops. Twist, twist, twist. Does that make sense? So when I'm doing my twisted stance and I'm coming into it, it's not just twisting here. It's wringing and twisting the whole thing. Does that make sense? So try and squeeze and twist. I know, it's everyone's favorite pose, isn't it? She's like, no. I got the wrong memo. Okay, feet. Shoulder distance. They're like, no, we like sleepy pose. Okay, so feet shoulder distance. Shift to your left leg. For ease, just open that right foot and step into it. Good. Now you want to take a good stride, stepping across. There you go, good. And your left toes don't have to be directly forward. That's a pretty intense stance. So undo them just a little bit. There you go. Because you are going to, now your weight, you have 3 ways you can do this posture. Weight forward, weight back, and weight centered. So I can do my weight forward. I can do my weight back. You'll see it like a seated. And then center. Okay? So play with forward, back. We're going to find center. Okay? Now bring your left hand up and turn it into a light bulb. Close the jar. Good. Now we're going to turn that way. exhale. The tip, the wood body is the biggest culprit for this. And I could say that because I have a wood body. Even more, try and twist the gaze, the eyes, the heart. Good. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, stand. And come out. Right. Instant warmth? Yeah. Whew. Fire element. Okay, so we do practice a couple of things. We get into the 8 vessels. I'll go blah, blah, blah. We're going to do the other side. We do 8 vessels in the summer because the body's naturally open. So we definitely want to work this. But we're going to do this also in the winter, which might seem counterintuitive, but the water gets so cold that we have to bring up that natural heat. Okay, so you'll see this. There's the idea of what these numbers in the summer, what we do in the summer, but really what we should be doing in the summer, yes, open the body, but doing a lot of our water practice. And then in the winter, it's water. Yes, you want to do your meditation, but you got to cultivate your fire practice. So there's this yin within yang game. Okay, enough rest. That was just for you. Yep, other side. Got to feel balanced. So open that left foot. Step with right. Right hand turns in a light bulb and reaches. Left hand closes a jar, opens a jar, whatever you want to. Drop the shoulders. Shift your weight forward. Take a nice breath. Have a seat. Twist this. Yeah, there you go. Hello. Good. Back heel is ultimately trying to be vertical. And turn. Good. You ready to stand?
Yeah.
How about now? Okay. Remember last week we said the posture begins when you want to get out of it?
Yeah.
So that tells you how quickly, and that tells you what the energy has reserves. So we're going to try and build our reserves. Okay? Yay.
Yeah.
Okay? She's like, I was looking forward to that. Did she actually? Okay, good, good. Next one, crescent. Crescent moon, technically. This one's going to be for our linking vessels, okay? So we're going to be tying kind of the 2 sides together, if you would. So the crescent stance, I'll show it to you first. If I'm posted, can you see how I'm posted here, but my energy is going that way? So I'm trying to get that opening, that side. Okay? We'll try.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. It's great for gallbladder too. All right, standing. Good. We'll start post right. Good. So left foot empties, and you're going to try and reach that foot. So hands, technically, if you did a big circle and then pushed, cup, that left hand should be just off the chin. The right hand directly over. It would be like you were holding, I don't have a staff here. Not here, right? So that's the idea. Okay, so you can come out when you're ready. Okay. Keeping shoulders down, kidneys back, find your strength and all of that. Okay, let's stand on your left leg, reach your right toe. Creating that with the hands. And exhale. So you'll notice, watch here, I'm going to try and bow and open. Without bowing, I'm going to try and bow open that left side. Tricky, no weight. So it doesn't have to turn in all the way. That's actually a pretty advanced stance. Stand. Good. Warm. Side body. You can kind of feel that. Not heel vessel because we're not rooting the heel. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
One has that kind of up. So crescent, we're going to do linking. White crane to 7-star. You can use thrusting and belt on this, okay? I'm sure, I forget. I'd have to go back through. I think it's mainly thrusting in the book. for this, but it's the same because I have this white crane thrusting, but I have this belt twisting. So I do try and close this and bring that to center, okay? It takes time, okay? And sometimes not. Just practice on the balance. The twisting, here's a couple of things just so you don't fall over here. Don't move the eyes quickly. And the hardest thing to do is to look up and back. So start by looking down. When you have that, look slowly off to the side, slowly, slowly, maybe up. The hardest thing to do, you're technically looking at this palm. And it should be twisted and reaching back. So if we just stand for the arms, good, put the right hand, left arm, turn and reach. Okay?
Does the waist stay forward?
Yeah, the waist turns, the hips stay forward.
I mean the hips.
Mm-hmm. Hips are forward, waist does turn. Okay? And the same thing here, palm up and twist. Good. And it's kind of up and back, not down. It's an up and back energy. Want to try it with the balance?
Yes.
Okay. So big thrusting vessel, that's going to help the balance. Try not to let that thrusting vessel come unplugged. Does that make sense? It has to kind of click, click, or poof. Sound effects say it best. Okay. Stand on the right leg. You can bring the left foot out, left hand up. Good. As you're ready, you're going to lift that left knee and begin to twist the body. Do the eyes last. Right palm turns up, left palm turns up. If you can bring that knee up to the elbow, great. And if you're able, look at that palm. I'll look at you. No. Don't hold your breath. If you come out and go, you held your breath. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Other side.
Sure.
I'm trying to get there and then watch. Tricky,
Yeah.
right? Can you see the twisting?
Right.
Can you see that I have to keep this vertical kind of going? So I'll just put them both for here. So I'll put thrusting and belt. Okay. We have two left. So ride the tiger is typically going to be a heel vessel item. Many of you who've already begun your Tai Chi have done a ride the tiger before. If you've hit the second section.
Yes.
Okay. So it's in there. Okay. Partway through the second section-ish. Okay, just a little past partway. So ride the tiger, you're going to come in from a horse stance and shift into a bow stance. Bow is both feet at about 45 degrees, sinking down. Good. So, does anybody know the hand movement? I think it's here. There we go. There you go. Good. So we're going to turn and look over that shoulder, pressing that heel down. Lifting the inside of the left leg, bow forward. Good. Other side. Good. Couple of breaths. Stay there. Think of the heel vessel. You can come up with your ready, no rush. And technically, they'll have a ride the tiger like this. I'm so used to doing the paw game, so you can do that one too. Kind of looking back. Okay, so it's going to be a heel vessel, natural palm Another thrusting. Natural palm. First of all, what's natural palm? It's the most unnatural thing at first, right? So it's a palm. It's a mudra for the palm. So middle finger always misbehaves, so it shoots straight up. Nice and active. Then your pointer finger bends, and these are kind of fixed. The pointer finger and middle finger. Then your pinky and ring finger are easy. They're relaxed. And it's as though they hold a ball with a thumb. Nice and easy. Middle finger active. These are easy. What's the middle finger meridian? Pericardium. So when we do this, we're going to line it up with the pericardium line and pericardium line. Does that make sense? Pericardium runs right through here. So I'm going to line it up. Line it up. Okay. All right. That's the easy part. Cat stance. Okay. So cat stance brings one foot. I'll show it to you. The biggest thing with cat stance is this hip cannot come forward. It'll wear your knee. That hip has to pull back. Front foot reaches. As far as you can. Bend that knee, just the toe. Good. Hips back. This is one time you get to stick your bum out. So it's not here. Watch. It's actually out. Good. Hips back. Hips back. Break the rules. You can do it. It's like the English language. Good. And stand. Is it the quad or the knee? Yeah. Hello. How are you? Good. So same thing with the other leg. So post right. Good. Sit back. Arch the back. Arch the back. Stick your bum out. Do that thing you've been too well trained not to do. Good. Pull your right hip back. Ha ha. Oh. Isn't it amazing how it shoots it right into the thigh? Good, stand. So here's the trick. Everyone wants to pull this hip forward because it cheats and it takes it out of the thigh muscle, but your knee will take the hit. But you don't feel it right now because that's more of the joint. So you're like, ha ha ha, I got this. And then I say, pull your hip back. Oh, it goes right into the quad. And the quad goes, okay? So you should feel it in the, you should not feel it in the joint. You should feel it in the muscle. Does that make a difference? So you do want to align the joint, but that's how you'll know. You'll notice the difference. So everyone can try that just for a second. Pull that hip forward, feel the burning not be there. Pull the hip back, sit down, feel the fire engage. What is the key to opening and filling the vessels? Joint alignment. So how do I know my joints are aligned is when I feel that woof of heat. So if I'm in the posture, I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. But no, that means my joint's not aligned because I don't have, oh, hello. Now I've hit that mark. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you are going to burn up in a good way. You know, we all have. All right? So does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. Show me where, give me a general idea of where your heel vessel is.
It comes up and around.
It just stops here. So it's like the temple down the sides to the heel. Okay? Thrusting. Good. Governing. Conception. Belt. Linking. Okay, kind of goes like that. So that's your 8 vessels. Go ahead and have a seat. So you will want to do a couple of things. Over the summer while you're doing your 8 vessel training, you always want to return to it during the summer. There's a stagnant form, 8 vessels. Later it turns into like a palgay, like a moving 8 vessel set, which is actually quite a lot of fun. It comes in, right? And you'll feel the fire burn. So if you know that one, right? So it begins to open into a form. And that's one time through. Okay, you get both sides, and ultimately, so practice this stance, just the stationary one, because eventually you want to get it into the flow. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Getting that chi and that heat moving. Picture your vessels. Get to know them like you did your meridian. Okay? These two are easiest. Governing conception, they've kind of been drilled in. So you can kind of get the rest going. And then connect them to those postures. They're in your both books, the yoga book and the Qigong book. If there's any, okay? All right. Question on the vessels? No? Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned bell, thrust, link, governing conception. That's only 6. What are your actual 8 vessels?
Nice job. Heel and linking heel has right and left, or yin and yang, and linking has right and left, or yin and yang.
Okay.
So there's actually, if you wanted to go with it, you'd have no room on the board. You would have governing vessel, conception vessel, belt, thrusting, yin, link, yang, link, and heel, like a right heel. I think they say yang and yin. They're not right and left, so it's a yin and yang. Does that make sense? Inside, outside kind of thing. So you have this structure. So that's how you get to your 8. Nice one. Good job. Okay, other questions? No, are you warmer?
Yes.
He's like, that's not what I signed up for. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day.
It's very interesting. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.